I want to show you this article from The Verge because I think it actually does a great job of illustrating the differences between passively collected data at scale and survey data, which, look, I think surveys are great for a bunch of things, but asking people in surveys what they do, in my opinion, is not great. What do you do online? Which sites do you visit the most? What's your favorite social media tool? Well, favorite is fine. Most used, not so good. So this article looks at a big study that they did with a bunch of surveys, and the research covers platform shifts and declining connection. And the big takeaways from their survey, which I think is more than 1,000 people, is big platforms are losing trust. Google and social platforms are rapidly losing ground as trust and authenticity fade. More people are flocking to AI chatbots, niche communities, and platforms like TikTok. Is that true? Digital spaces are coming up short. Content drives community. AI is powerful, but not always welcome. Seems at odds with the thing they said first. So if you were to go and look at, for example, there's some data from GWI, who's collecting this from Sensor Tower. So these are installs of apps on phone devices. Boy, it sure looks like the big ones, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, are huge. And then TikTok is, on less than half those phones. Doesn't align very well with what people are saying. And look, I mean, I think this is another challenging thing. If you're asking people, hey, where are you discovering brands? Where do you find out about things? And people say, oh yeah, from social media is where I find out about brands. Well, I think, look, if you're browsing TikTok for brands, I think that's a very memorable experience. And if you're instead going to Google and searching for brands, that's not a very memorable experience. It is much less going to stick in your brain. And when you're asked about it in a survey, you're not going to remember. I think it's fine to survey people and ask them these things, but the data does not compare to having millions of devices and looking at what's on them, which is what Sensor Tower does, or using clickstream data like what Datos or SimilarWeb or other folks in that field collect and use to show real behavior from real devices owned by real people. And look, I think the biggest thing here is you might not actually care what people, whether this data is correct or this data is correct. You kind of don't care. What you care about is your audience. You want to know, for the people who might buy from you and the people you need to market to, where are they going? And that's why I think clickstream data is so useful, because, for example, and this is the new SparkToro interface. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be showing it off yet. Oh well. You can see which networks are most used by graphic designers, right? And so, hey, more so by graphic designers than anyone else. Behance, Dribbble, SlideShare, Threads, DeviantArt. Like, I don't think this surprises a lot of people. These are specific communities where designers often go. But knowing this data as opposed to, going, oh, well, I guess we should do YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, I just think it's not as helpful to have that data at scale. And I'm also not a big believer in survey methodology for these kinds of questions over real data collected from real devices.